What up, guys? Mike G with MDG Collections on hand. Today, ladies and gentlemen, this will be another J&B Bodyworks episode.
What's up, guys? Joe from J&B here. Next step in the progression of this Macan structural repair that we have here. As you remember last time, we put in the seam sealer, corrosion protection, primer, undercoating, all that's been done, and this car is going to live corrosion free for the rest of its life. So what happens next, right? We had to reinstall the moving components of the car, all the suspension and the steering components. So as you can see here, we have the strut brace, and the two upper control arms, right? We have these two tiny ones that both distribute the energy. From there down, that connects to this knuckle, which had a new hub and bearing pressed into it with the rotor. We replaced some of these brake lines. I don't know if you guys remember before, they were cut. This comes down to the lower control arms, right? And these connect directly to the cradle. This is the cradle, and if you come down here, the cradle runs from this side to the next side. This actually bolts to the frame of the car. You can see it right here. And then from here, all the suspension mounts to it, right? It also holds the steering gear, which was also replaced on this car. From that point, we get the sway bar threaded through, and that's, the bulk of the suspension. Right here we have a ride height sensor, which affects a lot of stuff like the lights and a lot of the control modules in the car, some of the high-tech features that Porsche has. Once all that's put in, one thing that's very important to note is that our repair procedures from Porsche, they give us all the torque specs on every single nut and bolt on this car, soup to nuts. There's not one thing that we're missing. So what do we do with that information? We take out a torque wrench and we torque every single bolt on all the suspension components, right? So once that's done, we use this red marker here to indicate that the job was done. The torque specs were checked. You see another one down here where the cradle mounts into the rail. So this is very important because, you don't want your bolts too tight. You don't want them too loose. There's a lot of positives and negatives, or just negatives to not having the proper torque specs. You could strip a bolt. It could be loose, there could be some play, so it's very important that all that is drilled down and you know exactly, you have the right amount of fastening, right? You have the right amount of pressure adhered to those bolts. From this point, we'll come through here. We're going to install all the cooling mechanisms and some of the intake mechanisms. So from here, we're going to have the intake, right? This goes into the air boxes. This car is actually pretty cool. The grill and the hood work in unison. The hood is like a scuba hood, and it funnels air into the intakes down here, comes out of a hose, goes back into here. Throttle body from there. We're installing all the cooling lines, the AC lines, and the heat exchangers go in, the condenser, the radiator. We're gonna get some intercoolers. We're gonna get power steering cooler, everything that we need to cool this car down. We got an oil cooler right here. Once all that's in, the car will be operational, it'll be moving, and having that mobility will make it a lot easier to move the car throughout the repair process. There's a few things that we have left to do. As you can see here, the clamshell hood on this car pushed back so far. It pushed into the hinge pillar, popped up over here. This was dented from, I think, maybe the mirror, but that's been pulled out, that's been straightened, at which point we're gonna get some primer on there, some corrosion protection. We're gonna paint up and over, which is something that I'm gonna get into a little bit later. This is a process. This is a process where we don't have a brake molding. We're gonna go down this side of the car, over the roof, into the opposite quarter. This seems a little excessive to a lot of people who don't know the collision repair process well. And a lot of shops actually don't do it, knowing that it's not the right way to conduct their business, not the right way to conduct a paint job, because without doing it, you don't have any warranty from the paint manufacturer. The paint manufacturer always gives you a warranty, a lifetime warranty on your paint job if it breaks down, unless it was done improperly, and that's how it's done improperly. But we'll get into that a little bit later. That's one of the key points that kind of makes us who we are, and that's the part of the job that we finish out that a lot of people don't. But we got some very exciting and interesting stuff coming forward, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys.
And that is going to do it for this upload. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be a wrap.